In July of 1841, a brief notice appeared in several newspapers published in New York City. It concerned the unexplained absence of Mary Cecilia Rogers, approximately 20 years of age, employed as a clerk in a tobacco shop on Broadway. The entry was concise. It requested information. It assumed public familiarity with her name. The shop was operated by John Anderson and situated along one of the city's principal commercial corridors. Contemporary advertisements and directories confirm Rogers had been in his employ for several years. Her position placed her in daily contact with a substantial flow of customers. Newspapers had previously referred to her as the Beautiful Cigar Girl, a phrase that originated in print rather than later embellishment. Broadway in the early 19th century combined retail trade with residential occupancy. Brick structures lined the thoroughfare. Omnibuses and carriages passed at regular intervals. The district was neither obscure nor isolated. It was a visible environment in which a shop clerk could become publicly recognizable. On Sunday, July 25, Rogers departed the residence she shared with her mother. According to testimony later presented at the coroner's inquest, she stated her intention to visit relatives in New Jersey. She did not return that evening. By the following day, inquiries began among acquaintances and family. Within days, newspapers printed notices requesting information concerning her whereabouts. The disappearance moved quickly from private concern to public matter. Her prior visibility in print contributed to the rapid circulation of her name. On July 28, a body was discovered near the shoreline of the Hudson River at Hoboken, New Jersey. Contemporary reporting identified it as Mary Rogers. An inquest followed, transforming the disappearance into a formal civic proceeding. What had begun as a brief notice now entered the record of official investigation. The coroner's inquest, convened shortly after the body discovered at Hoboken, was formally identified as Mary Cecilia Rogers. Testimony was taken regarding the condition in which she was found and the estimated duration of her presence in the water. Physicians, laborers, and officers provided statements under oath. Portions of these proceedings were reproduced in full in the daily press. The published record reflects the limits of contemporary forensic practice. Conclusions were drawn cautiously. The verdict identified violent death but did not assign responsibility to any named individual. No immediate arrest followed the proceedings. Attention soon turned to Rogers's personal associations. Among those mentioned in testimony was Daniel Payne, described in newspaper accounts as a young man with whom she had maintained a close acquaintance. He was questioned by authorities and released. No indictment was filed against him at that time. Newspapers across New York and neighboring states continued to print summaries of the inquest, alongside letters from readers and editorial commentary. Reports were frequently reprinted verbatim, fixing the testimony in multiple columns across jurisdictions. The volume of coverage itself became a documented feature of the affair. Within weeks of the inquest, Daniel Payne was found deceased near the same stretch of the Hudson River. Contemporary reporting noted the proximity, while refraining from formal conclusion beyond the observable fact of his death. His passing constituted a second recorded fatality connected geographically, though not legally resolved within the case. Despite renewed public attention following Payne's death, no additional witness testimony altered the evidentiary record. Jurisdictional boundaries between New York and New Jersey complicated procedural authority. By the end of the summer, no suspect had been formally charged. The inquest verdict remained without named perpetrator, and the case entered a period of official inactivity while continuing to occupy substantial space in the press. By the close of the year, formal inquiry into the death of Mary Cecilia Rogers had produced no indictment. Magistrates' offices retained the testimony taken at the inquest, and the coroner's verdict remained entered without named perpetrator. No subsequent arrest altered that record. In procedural terms, the case had reached its limit. The absence of resolution did not prevent continued reference. Newspapers revisited the affair in later months, summarizing earlier testimony and noting the lack of advancement. Her name appeared periodically in columns addressing public safety and the conduct of urban life. The repetition did not expand the evidentiary record, but it extended her presence in print. In 1842, Edgar Allan Poe published The Mystery of Marie Cecilia Rogers, a fictional narrative closely modeled upon the publicly reported details of the Rogers case. Drawing from newspaper accounts rather than new evidence, the work transformed documented testimony into a literary examination of reasoning. It did not alter official findings, yet it preserved the affair within a different register of public discourse. As years passed, references to Rogers became more abbreviated. Compendiums of notable crimes summarized the case in brief paragraphs, often derived from the same initial newspaper sources. The descriptive language that had once detailed her employment and residence gave way to condensed accounts focused solely on the unresolved nature of her death. The primary documents remain unchanged: census listings, trade directories, coroner's testimony, and newspaper columns printed in the summer of 1841. Within those records, she appears first as a daughter and shop clerk on Broadway. Only later does the language shift toward disappearance, discovery, and inquest. No later proceeding resolved the circumstances of her death. The file was neither concluded by conviction nor overturned by new evidence. It persists as entered a matter recorded, publicly examined, and left without formal resolution. Her name was once widely printed. It now rests chiefly within bound volumes and preserved files. The record neither resolves nor embellishes. It remains as entered.